You know, these little suckers are starting to multiply. They're starting to take over. Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, March the 27th, 2023, vlog number 309. And I'm starting off the day really well today because in about an hour and a half's time, I'm off to see the dentist because I have to have a couple of fillings. Not because I have cavities, it's because I got a couple of sensitive areas, and they seem to think that the fillings in those areas will help that. I do not like the dentist. Who does? And yeah, I'm a little nervous about this one. And the other thing is, too, it's a new dentist for me. Same place I usually go to, but she's taken over. It is a female dentist this time, which is neither here nor there. But she is taking over the practice from my usual dentist. So we'll see how that goes. So in the meantime, I have some things to show you and things to talk about. So first thing I want to show you is this. You've seen this before. This is the Color Splash applique quilt that I've been working on for about 8 months. It is a block of the month kind of thing. Well, not kind of, it was. Feels like I've been working on it forever. Well, I have been, 8 months. And I got it all together. And if you saw So Chatty on Friday, you will know that there was a mistake in this quilt. I had not noticed it. Of course, who did? Walter. And he pointed it out to me. Now, my first reaction was, well, the heck with it. It's not that big a deal. No one will notice. I'm leaving it as it is. And Walter kept insisting that no, it needs to be fixed. And it was in the bottom part of the quilt. You won't find it now. Everything is fine with this quilt at the moment. Yeah, long story short, a lot of you got involved in the discussion, and some of you supported me and said, yeah, don't worry about it. Others of you said you spent this much time on it and the whole bit. It needs to be done right. Walter is right. Fix it. So I went back and forth, and I fixed it. Actually, it wasn't that hard to fix. Not as hard as I thought it was going to be, but it's all fixed and the top is done. Now I have to quilt it on Lucy. And I started working with Lucy for this quilt on the weekend and ran into some problems. But I'm going to save that discussion for those of you that are more interested in the whole quilting procedure. And I'll talk about that on come tomorrow, Tuesday. Yeah, that's the day I want. My head's a little fuzzy right at the moment. I got a lot of things going on in it, and most of them have to do with the dentist. Okay, so that's a project that's pretty much out of my hair. And yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, we did discuss where I'm going to put it, because this quilt I am not going to give to anybody. I'm not going to put it on the bed. I spent too much time on it. I love it. So I want to put it someplace in a prominent spot, but I don't have any wall space available. But then somebody made a suggestion that I hang it on the wall behind my bed, which I have a quilt there now, but I could sub it out with this, and I think that's exactly where it's going to go. Which may mean, depending on how I want to hang it up, I may have to make a sleeve for it. I don't like making sleeves. They're not hard, but the hard part is you got to do some hand sewing. And yeah, so we'll see about that. Okay, moving on. Now let's talk about the YouTube channel of the week. This is a fun channel. It's by a Canadian, stumbled upon it by accident. And the name of the channel is the name of the creator of the channel, JJ McCullough. This week's YouTube channel is called JJ McCullough, and that's the name of the young person who has put this together. And he is a Canadian, which has a great appeal to me. And the reason I found this is I stumbled upon one of his videos right down here called Canadian Inventions, Myths versus Reality. And I thought I'd check it out. And that was really, really interesting. So I started watching some of his other videos, and he has a wide variety of topics, as you can see. Let's go to his playlists. And, he has cultural literacy, unique Canadian objects, icebergs, culture theory, Bill C-11, aging and nostalgia, Canadians reacts, the American cultural canon, just a ton of different things that have a Canadian bend to them, but also apply to the world in general. So if you're looking for something that's entertaining, informative, and very, very Canadian, then I suggest that you check out J.J. McCullough. So you will find the link for that YouTube channel in the show notes below. You'll find a link for Sew with Stephanie and Stephen this coming Wednesday morning. It's our regular session starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll probably go until about lunchtime. That's what the trend has been lately. So you can come and go as you please, and the link is in the show notes below. Now, one thing about links in the show notes when it comes to Zoom links, read them carefully. I've had a few of you who have hit the wrong link. I usually have multiple links in the show notes for Zoom events. In fact, you'll find two of them in the show notes this week. One is for Stephanie and Stephen, Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, and it's very clear. It says right in the first line of the link what it's for. Now, there's going to be another link below that, which is for an upcoming event that doesn't happen not this week, but the week after, on April the 5th, Craft and Chat, because it'll be the first Wednesday of the month. So make sure you don't get the two mixed up, because they both go to different events, okay? But a few of you have been getting those mixed up. So we talked a little bit about this what did we talk about yesterday? So Chatty. So yeah, just watch for that, It isn't that hard. You just have to read. That's all there is to it. There are also links for last week's videos and for other things related to today's vlog. Okay, turn the page over and let's go to looking out my window this morning. Take a look to see how the weather is doing. Here we go. So, it's a gray day right now, but right at the moment you're seeing this. This was taken at about 7 a.m. this morning. Days are getting longer, and you'll notice there's less snow this week. Good. I say good. Bye-bye. Done with it. Get it out of here. The current temperature is above zero. It's 1 degree Celsius. That's a positive sign. And we've been having several days that have been above zero. In fact, at one point yesterday, it went to 10. So, halfway to summer weather at that temperature. So I think that's a sign of good things to come. But it is Canada. It is only the end of March. It has not been unknown for us to have a big dump of snow in the middle of April. I'm hoping not, because in the middle of April, I'm flying out of Ontario to fly to BC. And I really don't want my flight to be canceled because of the weather. There's enough problems at the airport. But anyways, that's what today is looking like. So, and as I look out my window, it's still a little gray. Can't tell whether or not we're going to have a sunny day or not. A gray day would suit my mood right now, going to the dentist. In literature, we call that pathetic fallacy. So, yeah. Okay, so that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, nothing really. Well, there's always something that can piss you off, right? But instead, I thought I'd use this moment to explain my philosophy or my plan for my videos and things like that. You will have noticed there is some overlap in my videos. For example, I just showed you a quilt that I finished making. I will be showing that quilt again tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. I may even reference the same quilt, not this week, but I may also sometimes reference that quilt in So Chatty. Why? Why are there references back and forth? Well, if you pay close attention to it, there is method to my madness. On the vlog is basically a moment for me to sort of talk on a personal level about stuff that interests me. It's a little bit more general in discussion. I have my sections where I talk about what I've been making, what the weather's like, any products that I might have new. I don't have anything new this week, by the way. What I've been doing with the grow lights, what I've been doing with the 3D printer, a little excerpt from a past trip, and events coming up in the week. So it's more of a journal for what has been happening and what's going to happen. The Idiot Quilter is much more specific. It looks at things that are related most closely to quilting and sewing. So when I put the same quilt that I had in the vlog into the Idiot Quilter, the reason for that is I'm going to discuss it in more detail. As I already mentioned today in the vlog, I'm going to tell you about my little dilemma that is connected to that quilt and to the long arming of the quilt. So I get into a little bit more detail, a little bit more technical things about different aspects of quilting and sewing, that kind of thing. That's where I also review a YouTube channel that is directly related to quilting, and I review stores, online stores that are quilting stores as well. So Idiot Quilter may have a little overlap from the vlog, but it's more detail and it is more directed towards actual quilting and sewing. So what's So Chatty all about? Well, So Chatty is sort of a transitional video from my vlog and the Idiot Quilter into Stephen and Walter Live. On So Chatty, of course, Walter joins me for that. And we do try to talk about things that are related to sewing and quilting, to our adventures in both of those. But we will widen the scope a little bit to talk about things that are related, but not as closely related to quilting and sewing. But that theme is still there. Now, if you'll notice how that works. If you saw last week's So Chatty, we talked about computer technology, AI technology specifically, and how that could be related to quilting and designing quilts and things like that. So you see, that's a little more broad, but it's still under the umbrella of quilting and sewing. And then, of course, we do Stephen and Walter Live. Well, Stephen and Walter Live is basically anything goes. If you're a regular for that, you know that. We basically base our conversation on what people are talking about. We usually have a theme, a jumping off point, and sometimes we get to it and sometimes we don't. We just go with whichever way the wind blows us on that. So, if someone starts bringing up something that, we have some thoughts on, we'll start talking about that. So it can be all over the place. It does not have a rigid structure to it. So that's really how my videos work every week. And sometimes there's a fifth video, which usually involves an interview. Like this week, there is an interview that I have done. And the interviews are usually related to quilting and sewing, although I have had some that have talked about a different craft situation, paper crafting or something like that, which is fine because I don't limit my interviews to just quilters. I like to open it up to anybody who is what I call a creative, someone who is creating something. So I thought I would go over that with you so you don't think I'm just giving you the same old, same old. I hope you didn't think that. I hope you saw or understood my directions here, where I'm going with all of this. But anyways, that's something I felt I needed to bring up, and I have. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below or send me an email. Not a problem. Okay, that takes me to the grow lights. This is our journey with that, and I took some more pictures. Okay, so this is grow light number 1, the first one that we got, and you can see we've cleaned it up considerably. And the lettuce, the new lot of lettuce is really popping up very nicely. So is the basil. The basil's to the left of the lettuce. And I'm not completely sure what Walter planted in that other pot that has a few little shoots coming up in that. The pot to the far right has some chives. There are some green onions in there. Don't know how well they're going to do. And there is a new crop of lettuce as well in that. So things are looking nice in all of that. Oops, wrong way. Oops, wrong way. Okay, grow light number 2. Okay, To the far left, you see 3 green pepper plants. They're doing very nice. They're very pretty plants. You know, I've never actually looked at the green pepper plants when we were planting them outdoors, you know, in the container garden. Um, but they're actually a very nice plant. Now, these ones have not yet got really flower buds on them, so I don't know what's happening with that, but they look very healthy. In the pot next to that is a new crop of lettuce coming up, and then the other 2 pots are old lettuce. Now, these are getting kind of gnarly, and so I think this week we're going to have to trim them right back, eat what we can from that, and plant a new crop of lettuce in that as well. The lettuce seems to do very well under lights. Now, grow light number 3. This is the one that hangs from the ceiling. Walter has built a corner in his workshop with reflective mylar to help with the growing. And this is a jungle in here. Here you can see we have really tall tomato plants. Now these are supposed to be dwarf tomatoes. Yeah, they're not that dwarfy. Walter is actually talking about giving them a little trim at the top, see if they'll get a little bushier on the bottom. There are tomatoes on those. I'll come to that in a minute, but the other plants are the green pepper plants. And you can see down in the left-hand corner, you can see blossoms, flowers there, which means that we'll probably have some green peppers. It's going to take a while. Now, I think the idea here is that when the weather gets warmer than that, Walter may transplant some of these out, or just take them out in those pots would probably be fine, and put them out on the deck, except when we're going to have to probably climatize them to that. Either that, or we buy some green pepper plants in the warmer weather and plant those outside and leave these inside. And I think that would be an interesting experiment to see, you know, what happens with all of that. But things are coming along, and I'll show you. We do have some green tomatoes. Now, here are some flowers, which will eventually turn into these. And these aren't huge yet. I'm really up close with the camera when I took this picture, but they're looking pretty good. And there's others coming in other parts of this plant as well. I don't know how many we're going to get, how long this is going to take, but it's coming along. And here's another close-up of the flowers on the pepper plants. And you can see there's a smaller one up here in the top, and there's some back on the other plants too. So in theory, these should become green peppers. Now, somebody asked me about pollination. We have found in our research that both pepper plants and tomato plants are self-pollinating. So you don't have to worry about, you know, trying to do cross-pollination or anything like that with a paintbrush or whatever, which is a good thing too. So our little experiment is still an experiment, but it's coming along very nicely. Now, Walter has invested, and I told you about this last week, into a second grow light you hang from the ceiling. He hasn't got around to hanging it yet because of the different heights, and you can adjust the height of those lights. There's a little pulley system on them. So, you know, he wants one that's a little that he can lower for the pepper plants because they don't grow as tall, and then one that he can raise for the tomato plants. So yeah, we're into this in a big way. Now, somebody on Stephen and Walter Live asked us yesterday, are we still going to do gardening outdoors this summer? Yes, we are. There's other things we want to grow that we can't grow or don't want to try and grow under lights. And so we will have our container garden on our deck as we've had in past years. And we'll do that as well. So I have suggested to Walter that maybe we try some new things out there like beans. Okay, that kind of thing. I think we could make beans work. I think we could get the kind that climb, and we just use the, you know, the railing on the deck kind of a thing to have the beans climb. In fact, we have a piece of lattice that's on one end of the deck that, you know, nothing's really over there. We could use that as the, you know, put some strings and things on it, and that could be for climbing beans or something. We'll see. We'll see. The only thing I'm a little worried about right now is when we go away. In April, we're gone for 2 weeks. So I think I mentioned this last week. We're going to get someone to come over, probably Walter's niece, to come over and maintain the water in these plants, because the tomatoes especially suck it right up. And yeah, I really don't want them to die while we're gone. After all this time and effort that we put into it, I don't want to lose my crop. So we'll see. Okay, so what have I been working on in the 3D corner? Well, I'm making my thimble buckets. I've been making a lot of things that are going to eventually find their way into the hands of other people. So they're gifts. I'm making a bunch of stuff to take to the retreat in December. I know it's a long ways off, but these things take a long time to make, as you've heard me say. And a few other people and things like that when we're traveling about this year. So right now, I've pretty much finished up the 3D prints for the gnome bag, scrap bag hangers. I'm still working on the bags for those. And now I'm concentrating the 3 printers on making the thimble buckets, and I have them in various colors. And right now behind me, you can't see it, the 3D printer is working on 3 more buckets. And I'm just going to keep doing those for quite a while. They do take 63 hours and 15 minutes for each bucket to be made, so over 2 days of time. But I have to say, my printers are working brilliantly, and they're coming out great. Knock wood, cross my fingers, all that kind of stuff. But I thought I'd show you, I made a little video clip showing you the process of making these buckets. I'm going to insert it right here for you. I thought you might be interested in seeing how I make the thimble buckets. These started out as just a very tiny thimble, basically, as a 3D print, and I enlarged them many times up, like 2,000, 3,000% bigger, and they create these great little garbage cans for your sewing room. And or you could use them as a small waste paper basket or whatever. I pretty much can't make them any bigger than this, because this is pretty much the limit of my 3D printers. I might be able to make them a little taller and a little wider, but not by much. But I find this size is kind of ideal. So there's a finished one. But over here you see them in various stages. So, and I'm experimenting with different kinds of filament. This one you've seen before turns, according to where the light hits it, either sort of a purpley, bluey color, and it moves sort of into more of a red, which I think is really neat. This one is supposed to do something similar, but with brown and gold, I think. Right now we can't really see that effect. We probably won't be visible until this gets to the size of this one over here. This one is a two-tone, an orange and a red, but I'm looking up here at the spool, and yeah, this one I don't think is going to be as drastic a change. We'll see. This is about halfway done right now, so we'll see how this turns out. But I have other filaments I want to experiment as well with these, and I'm kind of stockpiling these for something I have in mind later in the year. But they do take a long time to print, as I've told you before. They take about 63 hours. For example, this one right here says it has about 20 hours to go. 20 hours, 15 minutes, and it's at about, well, it's past the halfway mark. It's at 67%. This one has about 53 hours to go, and it's only at about 26%. And of course, this one's done, but I'm going to switch out the filament on this one, put in one of my new filaments, and make another one and see how it turns out. So yeah, this is my print mill, as you may call it, and I've got 3 of these going at once, and yeah, so they take a long time to make, but my printers are cooperating with me, and that's a good thing. So we carry on in our little 3D factory. Okay, blasts from the past trips. Continuing on with New Zealand, the cruise that we took the very first time we went over to New Zealand and Australia. And this is Wellington, New Zealand, on December the 13th, 2016. Okay, today we're headed towards Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand. And it's where recently there's been some earthquake activity. And we're doing a panoramic tour of Wellington. So this is Wellington. And as you can see, it's a busy little place. Well, I'm not sure it's that little. It is the capital of New Zealand. So we're just about to head out on our panoramic tour. And this is Wellington from on top of Mount Victoria. Or Mount Vic. I'm not sure if it's actually Mount Victoria or just Mount Vic. I saw signs that said Mount Vic. And this is also from Mount Vic, Wellington. It's very hilly. Everything's built on the side of the hill. Some of them actually have their own private escalator kind of things, elevators to get up to their houses. And this is at the very top. This is the Wellington Botanical Gardens, and this part of it is called the Lady Norwood Rose Garden, with the begonia house right here. This is a begonia house inside. Again, this is another shot of the rose garden. You can see it's fairly extensive. There's Walter by the rose garden. Some close-ups of some of the blooms. Spectacular color. This museum is called Papa. So it's got different sections in it. This one's about earthquakes and things like that, and volcano eruptions, and there's one on war, and there's other things about the natural ecology. Oh, finally get to see kiwi. Stuffed again. This is the second time I've seen kiwi. Both times stuffed.
I made some progress and was very ashamed of it.
Okay, so what's coming up? Well, I already mentioned the dentist. I'll fill you in on that later this week. How that went. I'm hoping it goes fine with it. The retreat. Okay, updates on the retreat. It's full. I am so surprised and so pleased. The retreat's not till May the 6th. I opened up registration for it, well, about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago from today. And I'm full. 93 people. That's all I can handle. So I've started a waiting list. Now, if you missed out and you want to come, let me know. I'll put you on the waiting list because I usually anticipate 10 to 15% of the people who have registered for the retreat will at some point between now and May the 6th will drop out for one reason or another. That will free up a space. So when that happens, I will go to the waiting list and I will drop in a person from the waiting list. And I will let you know that you have gotten a spot. But I won't be able to do that unless you tell me you want to be on the waiting list. So send me an email telling me if your full name, first and last, the email address you wish to be contacted at, and I will add you to the waiting list, and I will let you know that you're on the waiting list. And then when a spot becomes available, I will put you in that spot. Now I'm at the stage where I'm just finalizing some things with my guest speakers, and I'm getting together my prizes. And thank you, Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches. She has been very generous, and she has donated a few prizes as well for the event. So that's very much appreciated, and love you, Stephanie. Love you a lot. Okay, and what else can I tell you? Yeah. Oh, past week. Kind of skipped over the past week in my enthusiasm here, more or less with my dentist brain. So I had some problems with Lucy. I want to tell you that I have solved those problems and I'm very happy about it. And I learned a lot from those problems. And I'm going to go into detail tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter about that. So if you're interested, check out Idiot Quilter tomorrow. Walter did something this week. He didn't do any sewing, but he made a Dutch tart. And I'm going to show you what that Dutch tart looks like. And it's right here. Doesn't it look delicious? And it was delicious. It's apple. You might want to call it a deep dish apple pie, but the pastry on it is different. It's not your usual pie dough. It's more of a cross between pie dough and short bread crust sort of a thing. Walter said that if he makes it again, there's some things he would change in the recipe, but I thought it was delicious. There's still some of it left. So it's really great. And he wants me to point out that he did a lattice top because he had never done a lattice top before. Um, so there you go. Looks very nice and it tasted very nice as well. I've been after him to make a pie for a while because I love Walter's pies. Walter makes great pies. And pie is one of my favorite food groups, and I can't get enough pie, and he doesn't make it often enough. So this was, I guess, to appease me because after every meal I go, well, that was a good dinner. You know, would make it really good? Pie. Yeah, pie. I love pie. I love any kind of pie. So, that's what he's been up to and other things. We got a new, we did get something new too. I forgot. Don't have a picture of it. He decided the other day that maybe we should swap out our conventional lock on our front door to one of those digital ones, the one with the keypad, for various reasons. And so he did. And we have that. He was fighting with it yesterday because he was trying to do something. I'm not sure what he was trying to do, but it wasn't going well for him. But he eventually solved that problem. So all's well in that world. And just as we talk a little bit about security, I forgot to bring this up as well. So now I'm all over the place. Walter's car got broken into on the weekend. Yep, sitting right in our driveway. Well, they didn't do any damage to it because Walter forgot to lock his car door. So somebody went through it and rifled through all the stuff in his car. Didn't take anything though. There was a GPS in there, a good GPS. There was a dash cam in there. No money or anything like that. Well, there was a couple of loonies. He usually has a couple of loonies in there because, you know, when you go to some grocery stores, you have to put a loonie into a shopping cart thing to unlock it, and then you get your loonie back after you return it to the cart stall or whatever. And for those of you that are Americans and don't understand what I mean by a loonie is a $1 coin. Okay, I'm sure most Americans know that in Canada because we've had them for a long, long time. We don't have a paper dollar. We have a coin dollar, and we call it a loonie because there's a loon on it. So yeah, one of those Canadian quirks. Anyways, nothing was stolen, but you know, you really feel violated when that happens. And it's been going on in our neighborhood all over the place. Somebody on our street posted a video on an app, next door or something it's called. And yep, there was a guy. You couldn't tell who he was. You couldn't see his face. They're all bundled up in a hoodie and masks, and it was dark, and the lighting wasn't the best. But there he was trying the doors. Their cars were parked in their driveway. Luckily for them, their cars were locked, trying the doors. This is getting ridiculous. It really is. Maybe this should have been what I'm pissed off with this week, but it's really getting bad. Car thefts, people breaking into cars, stealing whatever. What is wrong with the world? You know, but that's a topic for another day. In fact, we touched upon that on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday. Okay, so let me get off that bandwagon right now. And yeah, and the only other thing that I want to make you aware of, and I've already mentioned it, is that next week will be the first Wednesday of the month of April. So on April the 5th, Wednesday, April the 5th, we'll have Craft and Chat, as we always do on the first Wednesday of the month. And that is at 1 p.m., starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, runs until approximately 4:30, 5 o'clock. And all are welcome. And you know the drill. It's the links in the show notes below. It's not this week, though. It's next week. You're getting advance notice of it. And I will be sending out probably at the tail end of this week to those of you on the mailing list. I will send you the link that way as well. Okay. So I guess I'm done. Can't put it off much longer. Got about half an hour before I have to leave to go to the torture chair, the dentist. Yep. I just hope the freezing kicks in fast and well. Yeah. As long as I'm frozen solid, I don't care. They can do whatever they want to me. Okay. Hope you have a great week. And yeah, we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.